Hi, I'm George Straighton, screenwriter of Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of GenreTainment over here at SciFiPulseRadio.com. We're your hosts, Marks
and Julie, and GenreTainment is where we talk about what's happening in the world of film, TV, and web series. This is where we give you interviews with writers, directors, producers, and actors in both independent and not so independent creations. Now for today's episode, we're chatting with Adam Rady and James Rodehaver.
They're the creators of the fantasy comedy web series Walking in Circles, which currently has 2 seasons online. We talk in depth about the show, get some tips for web series creators, and hear some funny stories from set. Now, before we get started with the interview, I wanted to give everyone an update on what we've been up to.
We've been up to things?
Yeah. I recently had the honor of being asked to write a guest post on the Vancouver Film School blog. I actually went to film school there a few years ago, so it's pretty exciting to have been asked to do that. And in the article, I talk about my new book, Television on the Wild Wild Web, How to Blaze Your Own Trail, and discuss my favorite crowdfunding sites for filmmakers and web series creators. So check out that article, and if you're interested in making web series, you can find my book over on Amazon or straight from the publisher at mwp.com.
One more thing we should mention before the interview, we want to point out that the music you just heard at the beginning of the show was a snippet from the theme song for our web series, Reality on Demand. It was a song composed and performed by our friend T-Sean Hardy. And you can find our web series at realityondemandseries.com.
Now let's get to our interview with the creators of Walking in Circles. Well, welcome to the show, Jim and Adam.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Now, there's been a growth of fantasy comedy web series, especially with sometimes a tabletop RPG flavor of sorts, like Gamers, Journey Quest, Standard Action. So I'm kind of curious how this show was conceived, and if that was conceived in a bubble or was influenced at all by these other shows that were going on.
I think I'll let Jim answer that question, but I was looking at the release dates the other day, and I don't think that we heard about Journey Quest until after we released season 1. And Standard Action, I think, was released about almost exactly 6 months before us. So we didn't actually know about either of them, though since then we've come to know Joanna and Ben, the respective sort of minds or some of the minds behind those different shows. But go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, it is actually pretty interesting that so many of these series pop up, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of mainstream content doesn't. There was sort of a void in that, and so there were a lot of people when web series started to become a big deal, and they started to realize that it's like, well, the networks aren't giving us this sort of RPG-esque content that we want, but we can now just make it ourselves. And so a whole bunch of people all of a sudden were just like, all right, let's make these. And then we all kind of arrive at roughly the same time, because as Adam was saying, that Standard Action comes out, 6 months before us, and then we come out, and then obviously Journey Quest, they've been on the scene for a while. Because even with Journey Quest, that particular group of filmmakers has been gaming community for a long time. But my actual inspiration for coming up with Walking in Circles and doing the series was actually after having gone to Gen Con, which is the gaming convention in Indianapolis. And I was there, and I just started coming up with all these different scenarios and characters that I wanted to write. I wanted to write them, and so I came back. When I got back from that trip, I just started putting out scripts, and Adam said that he was going to film them, and we were like, all right. We just kind of hopped up on that train and went forward. Now, I was familiar with web series as a concept before writing Walking in Circles, and it was actually pretty heavily inspired by another series called Legend of Neil, which is the Zelda parody, which was a pretty funny series that I had seen. So I had seen that one, but I had actually not seen any of the other specifically D&D based web series until after we filmed and then put out Walking in Circles.
Yeah, once you kind of put your foot into that pool, you get a lot of feedback from other groups and find out that you're not the only one in that pool. So yeah, it was actually really cool to know that there was a whole lot of people out there trying or succeeding to do the same thing. So.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be like a big old Crisis of Infinite Earths of fantasy web series, or you guys like all mishmash somehow. Oh, guys, run into each other in the woods, and of course fight.
Yeah, let's just get totally meta. Okay, now we've kind of hinted, because we've talked about these other shows, we've kind of hinted about what your show is like, but can you explain to our listeners about the concept of your series?
Yeah, the concept of our series is, as we now call it, the greatest medieval fantasy adventure ever. Because we figure since nobody's really paying attention, we'll just start making grandiose claims.
Yeah, who can argue, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, it is a medieval fantasy comedy adventure. It has all those sort of genre titles to it. But specifically, it follows the adventures of Crag, the barbarian prince, who is out to avenge his father's death at the teeth, the jaws of the great red dragon Sothala Zalamazar. And he has a party of adventurers along with him, and it's sort of what would happen if that was just your job. And so the idea became, I know for Jim writing it, was like, well, if this is my job, some people are really good at their job, some people are really bad, and some people just don't care about their jobs, and that's these guys. They're just there doing their job.
Yeah.
But because of that, there's a lot of growth to be epic heroes, as Crag wants to be. So there's now 2 seasons out, and it follows sort of the comedic adventures, and we got to add more adventure into the second season, which really made us very happy because we wanted to do that in the first season. But first season is more of the Clerks style of standing around talking and saying the funny things, which is usually what people are able to do on a web series budget, is stand around and talk. And cats.
Well, Teddy Bear is just really into it, I gotta tell you.
Well, I do have a pretty thick beard, so I'm sure that the furriness is starting to attract wild animals. That's the premise of the show. It's certainly grown and evolved, but we compare the first season sort of Lord of the Rings meets The Office, and we say the second season is Lord of the Rings sort of meets Arrested Development.
Okay.
What was the one?
I don't even remember what other.
Oh, okay. We just say things. We just make stuff up.
Well, now you did mention that it is kind of a ragtag team, and you mentioned Crag. Can you kind of explain the characters to our listeners?
Crag, obviously, we've said he's the barbarian prince, and he he's on this quest to avenge his father's death, and he's we found Eric Raddick to play Crag, who is just, I think he actually is a barbarian prince that we cast.
He's some sort of Nordic prince of some kind.
Just massive man who has agreed to take his clothes off and come onto our web series.
Well, what kind of web series is this now?
Now you know why I checked it out now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and he's very, Crag is a very straightforward guy because I wanted to have the barbarian. I didn't want him to be like a dumb barbarian because he was supposed to lead this group. So he doesn't really follow the dumb barbarian tropes. But he is very straightforward. He wants to take the quickest route through any problem, and anything that he can't solve in under a minute, well, he'll just bash it until it's no longer an issue.
Well, that is my favorite approach.
Yeah.
The stride boldly forth approach.
Stride boldly forth and meet the enemy head on. That's, yeah.
I'll take the second character.
Okay,
because it's me.
Because it's you.
Yeah, because it's me. Marcus is the wizard of the group. He is a hatless wizard, and that very much bothers him, though he doesn't usually admit it. And like I said, I do play Marcus in the series, and when Jim wrote the script for Marcus, there was just too many fun things that Marcus said that I was not going to let anybody else say. So I was like, yeah, sure, we'll have other people read for him, and no, we never did. So luckily I got to be Marcus, and Marcus is a man very much out for himself. And not really interested in the betterment of others, unless it profits him. And he's exceptionally lazy, so I can see why I fit this role perfectly. But Marcus is a great character who fortunately we get to see some growth throughout the series, but especially in second season. So that was really cool. You want to take the next character?
Yeah. And then our third member of the core party, we've got Angie. And she's a druid who her whole impetus for getting involved in adventuring was like, she was just going to make the world better. She had this grandiose vision of she was going to go out and she was going to help people, and then she was going to solve everybody's problems, and then everybody was going to love her, and it was going to be a big deal. And then, of course, she gets out there and she realizes that she's stuck with Crag, who literally just wants to kill everything. And then Marcus, who is just kind of a dick all the time. And she realizes that, most of her job is, in fact, keeping these murderous people in check so that they don't actually cause all of the problems that she was really hoping she would get to solve for other people.
So she's like a hippie looking for a love-in?
Yeah, she's very much a hippie druid.
And then our fourth party member has actually now rotated from first to second season. In first season, we had our bard Garand, played by Jonah Prio, and literally lived Garand, or Garand lived as Jonah Prio. I don't know which. They were the same. There was between them. Jonah truly embodied Garand, and Garand is a very he's a person who is out to prove himself to the world, and that he's not just some spoiled rich boy, but he is very annoying and sings songs.
As are most bards.
Yeah. And then for second season, actually, Jonah unfortunately moved to Texas, so we weren't able to have Jonah back for the second season. So we were able to cast Ben Birch as Squire Quigley, who filled in the fourth spot in the party. And Squire Quigley is sort of a young, hopeful man who's out to sort of find heroes and become a hero, and he's ready for glory and all of that stuff, and he will follow Crag or anyone that tells him to go that way. And Jim, you get Alex.
Yeah, and then there's Alex. Alex is the fifth member of our party, and she is the shadowy rogue assassin who is always more concerned with looting the bodies after the battle than anything else. And she
it's
does
only practical, really.
You just get, what's the reason if you're not gonna, why kill them in the first place if you're not gonna take their stuff? And very, very quiet. I won't say completely silent, but mostly silent assassin. And she's very. It's always a mystery to the other members of the party why she sticks around, because she seems almost as likely to kill them as their enemies. So her motives have always been sort of shrouded in mystery. And as the series progresses from season 1 to season 2, we get a little glimpse into what she may be driving at, or why she's there. But as of yet, it has not been fully revealed.
Probably to the dismay of many viewers. They, of course, wanted more Alex and more Alex's story. Which is good. It's good to know that people like that stuff.
Yeah. But so she's a bit of a mystery still. But hopefully, as the series evolves, we'll get to see more of what drives her and what her true motives are.
Great. I thought it was funny how you wrote the bard out.
Yeah.
It was definitely a challenge because Garand was such. I almost call him Jonah because they're literally the same to me. But Garand was such a big character, and we knew we couldn't recast anybody in Jonah's position. We knew we didn't want to do that, but we also didn't want a complete duplicate copy of Garand. So we needed somebody. We needed a new force. And for us, it was important that the audience knew right away that Garand was gone. He wasn't coming back. He didn't just walk away. He was dead. And
I don't know. I kept kind of waiting. I'm like, they still might be able to pull him out of that.
Well, I mean, it is technically fantasy, so I mean, I guess anything could happen. Certainly, if Jonah was available, we'd always love to have Jonah back. But for second season, it just wasn't possible. So
his arm might always become magically animated.
Yeah, or he'd show up without an arm.
All of those options are actually perfect options. All have been considered.
Yeah.
You can tell we're geeks.
That's the very best kind of fans we could possibly have.
So So why a web series versus a traditional TV or movie format whenever you first came up with this? What drew you to web series?
Well, what drew us to web series was that nobody could tell us no. Actually, what drew us to web series was that nobody could ignore us and not even bother to tell us no. Traditional distribution, if we take this series to ABC or NBC or CBS and we say, hey, we want to make this show, and they say, who are you? Can you please leave our office? Like, we don't even get in the door when we
We're calling security. Please be gone.
Exactly. Yeah. And as far as a movie was concerned, I guess honestly, the more I look at it, the way the episodes follow one right after the other, realistically, it's a movie that we cut up into 11 and then 8 pieces. So I guess realistically, as far again distribution wise, a web series was really just, well, again, we can do a web series, we can put it out there, we can have people see it.
At the time, it was the end of 2009. I believe, of course, the Guild being, arguably the largest web series of all time, but at least at the time, was in its, I want to say, 3rd season, maybe 4th. But it was still a young sort of format. Nobody had the market was not oversaturated yet. And I think everybody realized that at the same time, which is why 2 years later it became completely oversaturated. But at the time, it certainly, and there was such a naivete on our part, and I'm sure on a lot of people's, which was, hey, we'll film this thing and put it on the internet, and we'll be famous, and people will watch it, and we'll get money, and we'll make more. And most of those things did not happen. It did go on the internet. It did happen. So yeah, at the time, it just seemed like a new, exciting format to follow along. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I think if I were to come into this with the knowledge I have now, but having not made it, and I was going to make something, I actually probably would do this as a film. I think now, because there's a lot of opportunities for festivals and conventions and things like that. Not that those didn't exist before, but at the time, I thought web series was a new, cool, exciting format. Yeah. Not that it isn't. There's a lot of I do. I kind of want to say the one thing about web series that I truly do enjoy is that the feedback is instantaneous. Your fans have instant access to it because it's free on you if it's a YouTube release or a few other different formats, but it's free. It's instantly available to them. They can watch it when they want to watch it, and their feedback is right there for you to see. So I do like that aspect. I don't like the aspect of having them market it online because I have no idea how to do that. Jim and I are officially the worst marketers and promoters of our own work of all time. That's actually a title that's been given to us. We may have given it to ourselves, but still, we count it as fact.
Well, you managed to get on the show, so you're not the
you
worst.
I was going to say, I would give you a run for your money. I'm bad at even just social media.
Yeah.
So
At least you emailed us.
It took about 2 weeks. We were like, what word do we start with?
It wasn't like carrier pigeon, They sent a proper email.
You could say it was writing in circles. I know.
That's why we edit the show.
That's what we do. So there is a difference between season 1 and 2. There's a nice jump and I think a little bit in cinematography at the touch. It also changed the feel a little bit, and also there's a lot more fights in season 2.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
There was exactly 100% more fights. There were none.
You have stunts.
That's not really a fight, though.
I said rock battle fight. You wrote that in the script.
There's a big difference between what we did in season 2 and season 1.
I'm actually going to let Jim handle that, but I will say that the jump was on purpose, and I'll see what fancy things Jim has to say about that. You do it, Jim.
Okay.
You say the words.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the difference between season 1 and season 2. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. The most basic reason is that with season 1 was our very first project. We didn't have the resources or the knowledge to pull off a lot of the stuff that we wanted to do. I mean, we wanted magic and fights and crazy stunts and all that stuff. I mean, that was always the dream, but we did not have the resources to pull that off with season 1. So the plan was always to get to a point where we could do it. And with season 2, for example, you mentioned the cinematography. Well, we met Jared Hoy, who is a cinematographer instead of just our friend who we said, hey, hold the camera and point it that way. So he actually knew how to film, which was good for us because we didn't.
The fun surprise, to interrupt Jim real quick, that we let people know is that the first and second season are actually filmed on the same camera. It's a Canon T2i, both seasons. It's just that the second season we actually knew how to use the camera, and by we mean
Jared Hoy knew how to use that camera. And then, of course, through Eric, actually, we came into contact with TJ Sensula, who was our stunt choreographer for season 2. And he was willing and able to put together these incredible fight sequences. And he had a team of stunt actors who he was comfortable working with. He had a working relationship with, who were all, excellent at what they did and were willing to come on set and play with us for a couple days. So a lot of that was just getting the knowledge and connections to be able to do what we wanted to in season 1. We were able to do it in season 2 because of that.
Yeah, and don't sell it short on the people that gave us their time and their blood, sweat, and tears all for free, which is not something you can ever sort of look at lightly. But yeah, as Jim pointed out, there was a lot of people spent a lot of time. A lot of the cast from first season and crew reached out to people that they knew. We all knew we wanted to grow the show, and luckily we were able to do just that.
Yeah.
Good. Now, we did notice that you've used crowdfunding in the past for season 1 and season 2.
We certainly tried.
Yeah.
Or you tried to use crowdfunding. What lessons did you learn from that experience?
It was tips? Indiegogo, correct? Or
yeah, we used Indiegogo. What lesson did we learn from there?
Don't do crowdfunding. No, I'm just kidding. That's not at all. That's not at all what the lesson we learned. The experience of using Indiegogo or any crowdfunding platform, I guess, is probably very similar, which is that there's a lot extra work that you didn't actually think about. Again,
it's not easy money?
No. Conveniently enough, as I pointed out, we are the worst. Jim and I are, and so not only did we not know how to promote ourselves or market ourselves, once we did raise the funds that we did raise, which we're entirely grateful to the folks that did donate to us. Even though we weren't successful in our goal, Indiegogo, because it's Indiegogo, still has you still keep the funds that are donated. Mm-hmm. But the long story short is that there was suddenly a lot of perks that had to be handed out, a lot of contact info to be gathered, and we were not good at that. And so just learning that it's a whole nother project that we're basically doing by crowdfunding, I think is something that we learned pretty quickly.
Yeah, that is essentially a full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah,
and we're not good at our normal full-time jobs, so. Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, though. Like I said, we are extremely grateful to the folks that did donate and share, because as you probably saw, our season 2, we wanted $50,000 to make the show, and I feel like we made a show that you would conceivably believe was made for $50,000, but we made it for about our credit card debt. So,
well,
that was pretty different.
Now, there's usually like little fun stories that happen on set. And usually even more so of comedies. So I'm just kind of curious if there's a funny story from on-set experience you'd like to share.
There is not a funny story. There is our lives on set, which were hilarious. Season 1, I don't know that do you have a specific story from season 1?
I'll tell a story about season 1. You can tell a story about season 2.
All right, okay. You go season 1. I'm
going to tell a story because we kept talking about Jonah Prio. And Jonah Prio is our very favorite person. And he there is a scene in season 1 where Garen has lost his lute. And this is just a dire and tragic event for Garen, because he considers a lute to be like an extension of himself, more important than his very arms. But the thing is that was not a scripted it was not in the script at all that he should lose his lute. He lost his lute because Jonah Prio lost the lute. He came to us on the day of filming, and he says, "Guys, I don't have the lute." And we say, "Jonah, this will not do. We have to have the lute. This is an important thing." And he says, "Yeah, but I left it in my car." last night, and my car was towed away.
Oh, because it's LA.
His loot had been towed away, and we just didn't have it. We didn't have it, and we didn't have the luxury of rescheduling. We didn't. I mean, we already had
this on top of the fact that we're out at the location and the location is flooded, and we have to find new.
Oh yeah, well, we had already. It was just full of fun to begin with. Yeah. So, and Jonah, I mean, he was so, upset with himself, and he really felt that he let everybody down, and we're on set like panicking, like we already have a flooded location, we don't have this vital prop for the character, what are we going to do? So right then and there on set, I took Jonah aside and we worked out what was going to happen. The loot was gone, it was missing, and Garen, every part of Garen's dialogue and acting in that scene was made up that morning on set because loot was gone.
And then we had to get it back.
And then, well, of course, because we had to get the loot back.
Then we had to write it back in because originally Jim, I think, was under the impression that we could just leave it out until Rock Battle fight, and I was like, no, I cannot have Garen whining for the next 4 episodes that he doesn't have a loot. So we had to figure out how to get it back, and it just made sense that Marcus would have taken it.
That was season 1 tale.
Yeah, season 2. There's a lot of good stuff. Especially, I know most of the cast and crew would comment on the fact that we played hide and seek in the cabin in the woods. We were out there for 2 weeks, and I came up, I don't know, on the second night, I was like, we should play hide and seek, and everybody for some reason followed me in that. And we had a blast doing that. And there's definitely some great stories with that. But the story I'm going to share is actually the fact that, well, wait, should I do Adam Rady or should I do Eric Rady?
Go with Adam Rady, because death-defying stunts, yeah.
So what happened was that we had filmed the second half of episode 8, the final episode. And we had filmed the teleport out in episode 7, which got us to that point for season 2. But we had nothing in between there because we had a lot of actors become unavailable. We actually ran out of money, the little money that we did have.
Surprisingly, we ran out of money.
Surprisingly, when you have $0 and you run out, you have less than $0, and it becomes a problem. So we had a lot of issues. So we decided what we would do is we finally came up with this idea. I think I presented it to Jim after a long night of thinking about it, and I was like, hey, what if we have Craig wandering through the desert? So long story short, we decided to cast Eric's brother, Adam, who is also an intimidating force in and of himself, as a barbarian. And alongside of him, we would cast our roommate at the time, Brian Day. Both these guys are extremely masculine-looking guys. They're very tough-looking. And both of them could die at any moment walking down the street. If you would have come to me at the beginning of the day and said, Adam, I want you to know that at the end of this day, either Adam or Brian will be dead, I would not have been able to pick one of them because they're both just hilarious. They're those kind of guys. So we're out there, and these guys are literally in dollar store flip-flops, and they've got swords on them. And we filmed some part with Eric. I said, okay, guys, we're gonna head up this hill. And before I even finished the sentence, which was, you guys should put on shoes to go up the hill, they just bolt up the side of this mountain. Both of them are racing each other up this mountain.
Oh.
Somehow they don't fall over, they don't die. We end up on top of this hill. I mean, a good 4 stories up, we're filming. And there's how we got up, there's sort of a ledge at about 2 stories, and then it goes up another 2 stories up. So we're up there, and as we're coming down, we finish shooting. Brian gets down to the little ledge, and he's sort of waiting there. And I'm walking, and I'm on the path, and Adam is next to me, not on the path, and he's picking up speed. And I'm like, Adam, what do you come over here to the path? He's like, no, I got it. I was like, I don't think you got it. You should come over here to the path. He was like, no, I got it. And he just totally picks up speed and hits that ledge and keeps going. Right past, like literally, Brian could have just reached out and stopped him. But instead, Adam gets to the ledge and manages to stop right at the ledge, but his upper body's still going forward. So he manages to, like, Gandalf the Grey, spin in the air and, like, falls, so his arms are like on the ground, and then there's a moment where you can like look at him and see his face, and then he just slips off, and he's off the ledge.
Oh.
I was like, what just happened? So making the story a little bit shorter, Adam ended up extremely cut up. We had to stop shooting for the day, though he was not stabbed by his sword, and he was actually fairly well protected by the fake armor made out of coasters. And that he had been complaining about all day that it looked funny. And after that, he was anywhere we went, he was like, "Where's my armor? I want my armor on." And Brian was the one that was like, when I was watching him, I felt like I could have thrown out a leg or something. I was like, thrown out a leg? Like, you should have stopped him. So that was season 2's crazy, weird story.
So
it makes you wonder, someone dying on set, bad for business or good for business?
Are you rolling? It could be good for business. If you're not rolling, bad. And we were not rolling, so it was going to be bad for business.
Yeah. Now, with 2 seasons under your belt, and we do have a lot of people who listen who are filmmakers or web series creators or want to be web series creators, I was wondering if there's any tips or words of wisdom you'd like to share.
Don't do it.
We get that a lot.
No. Actually, I'm 1,000% joking about that. But that is often a thing that you will find yourself thinking along the journey. Is like, why did I do this? What went wrong? What's wrong with my life? Why does my brain work like this? Those are fears that certainly will pop into your head. But for the people that want to create something, just do it. Don't let anybody stop you or tell you no, and don't let anything get in your way. We had a lot of things along the way that could stop us, and we discovered in ourselves that we could get past any problems so that they weren't problems anymore. And we had to learn that through trial by fire, as any filmmaker does. But that's the best advice I can give anyone: is get out there and film, make mistakes, try your best, learn, and be very open and honest with yourself about things you want to improve. Had I looked at season 1 and been like, well, this is the finest piece of cinema ever created by man, season 2 never would have existed. But I was able to very easily and quickly identify there has never been. We get very, very few criticisms on our series, which is very nice of our fans to be kind to us, especially since it's on the internet. But the criticisms that we've gotten, anytime I ever read them or talk to anybody that gives me one, I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. There's nothing that I wasn't already aware of myself, because I study my own work and our work to try to improve it, as does Jim in his writing. And so with season 2, there's a lot of mistakes. I watch it and I'm just like, mistake. Oh, that's something kind of good. Mistake. So there's a lot of stuff that I learned from, and that's the only way you can do it, is to get out there and practice your craft, do your craft. Don't be afraid, because there's nothing you can't overcome if you improvise and think and work hard and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Now, we've talked about the first couple of seasons. Is there going to be a season 3?
Well, I'm currently. Have you guys seen the show True Detective?
Yeah.
I'm currently looking at Jim's Yellow King sort of wallpaper monument right now. He on his wall in his living room, he literally just has. He doesn't even. They're not even Post-it notes. These are not proper Post-it notes, Jim. This is just a notepad that you've taken tape to and written. He's stuck tape to it and just has certain notes and certain things. Oh, Craig is going to do this. Marcus is going to do story structure that he's kind of going with. So I call it his Yellow King monument, basically.
That's not at all creepy.
No, not at all. I'm just waiting for the little mirror that he just looks in with just the one eye.
Yeah.
Jim, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were.
No, you're fine. Yeah. Yes. There is plan. There is a plan to continue the show. That's been the goal from day one of Walking in Circles, is to make more Walking in Circles.
Yeah, we're not very inventive. We're not very inventive, folks. We're saying, hey, we made this. Let's make more.
I mean, really, I think it's interesting, because we take a look at it and we talk about how we're very terrible at marketing and we're terrible at raising money. But the thing is, those were never our goals. Like, we never cared about getting money, except to use it to make more content. Like, that's really all we wanted to do, was create more content. So we have plans to continue making content. That's all we really want to do. So yes, the goal is to continue walking in circles and make as many more seasons as we possibly can.
Well, you know what? Let's just say it, Jim. We've been waiting on it for a while. Prime TV Network is where we're trying to sort of focus our energy right now. Anybody that kind of searches Prime TV Network on the Googles, you will discover that it's a network that is available as video on demand on Roku and other connected smart TV devices. And Walking in Circles is either now or should in the next couple days be available there, as well as their free app that is on mobile devices galore, anything from Android and iPhones to Kindles and Google Play and all that crazy stuff. And it is also, crazily enough, on broadcast television local to Columbus, Ohio, which is really awesome because we're from Ohio.
Very cool.
And Walking in Circles, we sort of stumbled into this opportunity with Prime TV, and it's brand new to us. We're trying it out. Certainly, we're still on YouTube and doing all that stuff, but we really want to push people to download the app to watch us on this device or devices. This platform, I guess, is the best way to put it. We want people to watch us there because we know, having spoken to the owner of Prime TV Network, Aaron Kinzer, who's a good friend of ours, we know that there is an opportunity for something that we're kind of calling WIC TV, Walking in Circles TV, to exist, which would be a half an hour TV show of Walking in Circles. And we know that it's an opportunity that we want to follow, but we can't really follow it unless people are watching the show, unless there's a need, and unless Aaron and we can find the ability to do that. It would be a ways down the road, but it would be a television show of Walking in Circles that would not necessarily be a season 3. It would more or less be something like, the easiest way to comprehend it is to call it a reboot, but it's not truly a reboot in our minds, in the sense that there's the web series, and you can watch Walking in Circles season 1 and 2, and it's a series, and it follows Craig and the gang, and it's cool, and it lives over there. But if you want to watch a TV show that follows Craig and the gang, that's over here, and that's telling a whole new sort of story and arc with them. So that's our current goal, but we need people to watch, we need people to share, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's finding us at conventions or festivals when we can go to those, whether it's podcasts and vlogs and blogs and all that cool stuff, or specifically watching us on Prime TV Network. All these things will help that dream become a reality, because that's ultimately where we want to end up.
That's very cool. Now, would that be like they would be two separate shows in the sense that they would be the same group, same exact people, only at different points in time and different adventures, or the same groups of people but in sort of like a parallel universe where in one exists and in the other adventure exists?
How would you word it, Jim? You used a great example of South Park the other day.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If you go on, I don't even know if you can find them on YouTube, because Comedy Central tends to be very protective of their content.
But you used to be able to.
But used to be able to. But yeah, but the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, when they were in college getting started, they made South Park. They cut out construction paper dolls and they animated South Park. And you can go and watch that, and it's the same characters, and it's the same type of humor, because it's those people. Then they went to Comedy Central and said, "Hey, we want to make a show." And Comedy Central picked up the show, and it's a half an hour show. And yes, they're both the same, but they're not. One's the South Park as you know it, and the other one is like the early inception of what it was going to become.
Okay.
We just happen to have about 3 hours of early. It would follow Craig and Marcus and the gang. It would follow the same people, and there would be a lot of the same things, but we don't want to tell you the same story or the same jokes. We don't want to retread on the same stuff. So it would be a different journey. But you could go and enjoy the web series, and you would recognize the characters, but it wouldn't be the same story being told to you.
Oh, very cool. I hope that works out.
Yeah.
We desperately hope it works out. And we will certainly we'll keep everybody updated on that.
Yeah.
Obviously. But that's pretty big news for us that we're hoping will become bigger news.
And that's Prime TV?
Yeah, Prime TV Network. If you look up Prime TV, that won't be correct. It actually has to have the network on it because Prime TV is some other thing somewhere. But Prime TV Network is the platform.
Okay, cool. Before we go, we've talked, of course, a lot about your show, but is there any other projects you've been working on you would also like to mention now or in the future?
Well, we're excited about what Prime TV Network has to offer in terms of original content and the ability to make more content there. So I do think we have some things in the works there, but nothing too definite. I am currently producing and I guess co-hosting a show called Gauntlet Arena. It's a live show that happens on Tuesdays on the internet. It's live every 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on twingalaxieslive.com. And in it, we have people call into Skype and play the new Gauntlet game that is out for Steam based on the original 1980s arcade classic.
Oh, yeah.
And they play different challenges in an effort to save myself and my co-host from the dungeon, as well as win prizes. Anything from, Steam game codes to GTX NVIDIA graphics cards. So that's pretty awesome, and I've been doing that for a few weeks now, as well as you can actually see Jennifer Karras in that as well as one of our co-hosts. She was Alex number 1 in season 2, which makes her Alex number 5, I think. And so that show is currently going on, and I'm pretty excited and having fun with that one.
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice.
And I don't know if I'll be back for a second season of Winter is Coming, but that was a live review show of Game of Thrones that happened in conjunction with winteriscoming.net. I was the host of that show earlier this year, and I don't know if I'll be back for a second season. I don't know if they're doing a second season, but if they are, I hope I'm back for that.
Yeah, I think winter's here now with the big cold chill.
I blame Game of Thrones personally.
Yeah, where are you guys located at?
We're based out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Ah, okay, cool. All right, so are we gonna see you at Gen Con if we go this year?
Maybe.
Possibly.
I usually go.
I do not always. Sometimes it coincides with another thing that I do. So.
Well, we didn't get to go this year. We went a year ago. We brought Craig. He was walking around half naked, holding up his sign.
Good thing it's not this time of year.
No, although Eric would still do it.
Yeah, we can tell Eric to do anything, and he'll do it. I don't know why, but he will do anything Adam tells him to. It's weird.
Well, you know what? Let's track how many folks listen all the way through to the end of this interview, because Craig is gonna. Well, he's not gonna, but there's gonna be a Craig baby.
Baby?
Yeah, there's a Craig.
You're gonna
baby.
announce Craig baby?
I'm announcing Craig. I think people should go to Craig's Facebook page. You can like Craig on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And you should like Craig, and you should tell him congratulations on Craig baby's imminent arrival in January.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I feel like Craig's wife is going to be really weirded out now by random people.
I'm glad that
You know, it depends on if she mishears Crag baby.
I heard crack baby at first myself.
She could be really insulted if she mishears that.
Congratulations on crack baby.
We call her Craig baby. Yeah.
Craig wife and Craig baby.
Yeah, Craig wife and Craig baby.
Yes, congratulations on the Craig baby.
I'm excited for Craig.
I know.
I'm so
Craig baby.
So pumped for Craig baby.
Before we go, where can people find you guys and Walking in Circles?
Well, we would prefer folks to find us, like I mentioned, on Prime TV Network, which again they can get the free app for, and that's sort of a linear stream, just like television, which means at a certain select time we're on, whereas other times we're not. It's not video on demand in that respect, but you can get video on demand through Prime TV on Roku and other connected smart TV devices. So we'd love people to find us on Prime TV Network. But if you're not into the whole smart devices connected thing, just go to wictheseries.com. That is our website. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/WICtheseries. And of course, season 2, episode 1 is right there playing for you when you sign up to that. And then Twitter and Facebook are, again, WIC the series. So facebook.com/WIC the series or at WIC the series for Twitter. And we've also made a shout out that we do have an IMDb and a Wikipedia entry. And since those are sort of user generated and grown, we would love for any of our fans that are inspired to add to those entries either on IMDb, Wikipedia, or any other places that you may know to add cool fantasy medieval web series.
So you're good at marketing.
Yeah, see?
You're the first guest I think that I've ever mentioned their IMDb page or or about their Wikipedia entry.
There you go. You're more savvy than you know.
I just love to talk. You guys will get to hang up now and go about your life, but Jim's going to have to suffer through me for the rest of the evening.
This is actually all going to go on for another 3 or 4 hours. So
Poor Jim.
Poor bastard.
Why do you think he moved out of my place, the jerk?
Well, all right. Well, it's been great talking to you guys.
Well, thank you. You guys have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been good being on here. It's been nice.
Yes, thank you very much. We look forward to listening to our melodic voices. We have really enjoyed being on the show, and we hope to come back with more exciting news, whether it's Walking in Circles or other.
Hi, I'm Rob Hunt.
Hello, I'm Tara Pratt.
Hi, I'm Joanna Gaskell.
Hi, I'm Evan Perez, and we're the cast and crew of Standard Action, and you're listening to
GenreTainment.
Well, thanks to Jim and Adam for chatting with us. We had fun and hope everyone enjoyed listening. Now be sure to check out their funny web series, Walking in Circles. Now before we go, we want to remind you that you can keep track of us on our GenreTainment Facebook page, Marx's Twitter account, which is at Mr. Marx, our web series at GenreTainment.com, or all of the shows at sci-fi-pulse-radio.com.
So that's it for today's GenreTainment. We'll be back soon with all new guests from our favorite films, TV shows, novels, and web series.
GenreTainment is a production of Alien Junglebug Productions.
Until next time.
Well, thanks to Jim and Adam for chatting with us. What does that even mean?
Sounds dirty. Sounds dirty to me.
Oh, laughing hurts. I can't stop. It hurts. Okay. Well, thanks to... I can't do it now. I used to be able to do these in one.
It's going to go in the blooper reel.
So much for one and done. Okay.
That's what she said.
You're not helping. Bad monkey.